Hi everyone, my name is Mary Jean Ammon, and today I'm going to be presenting results from several studies that examine the effect of privacy prompts on decisions to share photos of other people on social media. In particular, I'll be discussing a number of counterintuitive effects that we reproduced across studies. Photo sharing on social media platforms has become a major mode of communication, with an estimated 1.8 billion images shared online each day, and users are showing no signs of slowing down. A portion of those photos shared online will become popular memes, where they are transmitted widely and replicated over time, often undergoing changes in the process. This may include changes to the image itself, or the meme may become transformed into an image macro as text captions are added. In this way, online content can be virally spread to a large number of people over time and even across various platforms, such that limiting its spread can be very difficult. The sharing and resharing of photos online can mean that the person portrayed in the photo may have little to no control over how information about them is transmitted. Given the widespread and relatively unrestricted sharing of images, it's difficult to anticipate exactly who will be able to see a given image, meaning that there can be a disconnect between the imagined audience and the actual audience. As the image is altered, the photo's subject matter can be taken out of context, leading to what we call context collapse. In fact, out of context photos can be considered a low-tech form of misinformation. Moreover, a large number of images online are of people who were altogether unaware that their picture was being taken or that the photo would eventually be posted publicly. It's easy to find memes online of people who are out shopping, on planes, in the gym, at social gatherings, or even sleeping in the privacy of their own homes at the time a viral photo was taken, apparently without their awareness. Of course, these memes can be created or altered to portray people very differently, with some memes highlighting people's accomplishments or positive personality traits, and other memes showing photo subjects violating social norms or highlighting their negative personal traits. Especially considering those that portray people negatively, memes can have a variety of consequences for the photo subject. Photo subjects may experience embarrassment, psychological distress. At the extreme end of things, people may experience harassment, extortion, identity theft, stalking, or other personal or professional consequences due to images of them being posted online. However, just as social media users often play an active role or are complicit in violating other people's privacy, there are social media users who act in ways to preserve the privacy of others. Users can respond to existing privacy violations by flagging the inappropriate content, which submits the content to the social media platform for review and possible removal. Users may also engage in privacy-related dialogue or even shame people who post inappropriate content. Others still display purposeful inattention, which can also be called civil inattention or tactful inattention toward private content, where they purposefully ignore information about others to save the person from potential embarrassment. Similarly, people who demonstrate pretense awareness by politely acting as though they never viewed the private material to begin with. These behaviors demonstrate that social media users are willing to protect the privacy of others. However, technical mechanisms that seek to leverage social media users' sense of propriety have not been adequately explored. So for our research, we're using this as a starting point. We know that social media users engage in pro-social behavior that protects others from privacy violations. But the question is, can we intervene to promote these pro-social behaviors, reducing sharing of other people's photos, especially those that portray people negatively? This research question inspired a series of studies. We conducted 3 studies that investigated whether it was possible to influence users to reconsider their sharing decisions to improve the privacy of others. Specifically, we examined the extent to which perspective taking for others or adopting a privacy perspective reduced people's willingness to share photos of others. The perspective taking intervention asked participants to imagine that they were the person in the photo as they indicated the likelihood that they would share a series of memes. The privacy perspective intervention prompted participants to consider the privacy of the person in the photo before indicating the likelihood that they would share each meme. We compared the meme sharing likelihood in these two conditions compared to a baseline condition where participants received no such prompts. To study this, we first developed a stimuli set consisting of real-world memes from social media. Memes included photos of one or more people, a text passage that accompanied it, and that provided context for the photo, a clear image of a face or faces, variability in positive or negative portrayal of the photo subject. So we were interested in whether we could decrease sharing of memes that portrayed people negatively in particular, but we wanted variability in the memes that we selected for the study. We avoided using memes that had children, celebrities, nudity, or explicit sexism, racism, or bigotry. For our main study, we recruited 444 MTurk participants who were randomly assigned to one of three conditions and rated how likely they were to share each of the 98 real-world memes that we selected. 379 of these participants passed the attention checks and were included in the final sample. Participants in the control group were shown one meme at a time and asked, how likely are you to share this photo on social media? In the perspective taking condition, participants were asked a modified question. If this was a photo of you, how likely are you to share this photo on social media? And lastly, in the privacy perspective condition, participants were asked a similar question, except they were prompted, taking into account the privacy of the person in the photo, how likely are you to share the photo on social media? Participants responded using a 7-point Likert scale ranging from extremely likely, which is recoded as a -3, to extremely likely, recoded as a +3. And the photos were presented one at a time in random order, and the task was self-paced. After the experimental task, participants also completed a number of questionnaires about their social media usage, their personal experiences with privacy violations, the degree to which they consider themselves a private or open person, as well as demographics. In a separate survey, we asked 400 MTurk participants to rate the memes that we selected on the degree to which they portrayed the subject of the photo positively or negatively. Each meme was then assigned an averaged photo valence score, and we split the memes into 4 quartiles. Memes that portrayed the photo subject very negatively, positively, or very positively. And this allowed us for later analyses to assess the degree to which the intervention in the study we used modulated sharing likelihood for memes of different valences. As I mentioned before, we were interested especially in whether we could alter the likelihood of sharing photos that portrayed other people negatively or very negatively. Next, we examined the main effect of our intervention, comparing average meme sharing likelihood of participants in the control, perspective taking, and privacy perspective conditions. And this main effect was statistically significant, and follow-up tests revealed that participants in the privacy perspective condition were more likely to share memes than those in the control group. And this was opposite of our hypothesis that the interventions would decrease sharing. The differences between the perspective taking group and the other conditions were non-significant. So overall, we found that prompts to consider the privacy of other people increased photo sharing compared to baseline. We followed up on this result by examining the degree to which photo sharing likelihood in the three conditions varied as a function of photo valence, that is, the degree to which the photos portrayed people positively or negatively. Participants in the privacy perspective condition were more likely to share negative, positive, and very positive photos than those in the baseline condition. Thus, it's not only the case that positive valence photos were shared more often after the privacy manipulation. Even negative valence photos were shared more after a privacy manipulation. While we had a number of significant results, we focused in on the counterintuitive finding that participants were more likely to share photos after being prompted to consider the privacy of the photo subject, including photos that portrayed people negatively. Though this finding is counterintuitive, it confirmed a result that we had in a pilot study with 166 participants. With that pilot study, we required participants to ask a number of questions about each of the memes that they were shown. And so when we had this counterintuitive result initially, we were concerned that the results may have been influenced by the other questions we asked, not just the privacy manipulation. And so then we reran the study, having just the privacy manipulation, perspective taking manipulation control conditions for a between subjects design. And so in refining the experiment and rerunning it, we found the same effect. Privacy prompts increased photo sharing. But the question for us remained, why are the participants increasing photo sharing after a privacy prompt? To answer this question, we conducted a brief follow-up study where we showed 100 M-Turkers 6 photos, and for each photo, we asked them to first rate the likelihood that they would share the photo, and 2, explain their decision in at least 200 characters. Half of the participants were assigned to a control condition, and the other half of the participants were in the privacy perspective condition, which is the same manipulation used in the previous studies. The stimuli consisted of the 6 photos from the previous study for which participants showed the largest difference in sharing likelihood scores between the baseline and privacy perspective conditions. And after data collection, we had 4 coders who were unaware of the participant's condition read the responses and code it, and we had sufficient reliability between coders. We then analyzed the coding data using mixed effects modeling. Overall, we found that participants in the privacy perspective condition were more likely to state that they were not concerned with the privacy of photo subjects compared to the baseline condition. Thus, the privacy perspective participants were over 15 times more likely to note that they were unconcerned with the photo subject's privacy as compared to baseline. This effect was not qualified by the specific photo they were viewing. It was across the board in terms of the photos. In addition, the extent to which participants reported that they personally related to the person in the photo was significantly lower in the privacy perspective condition compared to baseline. We also coded for a number of other dimensions, which are discussed in the full paper, but their frequency did not differ based on condition. Overall, we confirmed across a number of studies that participants prompted to consider the privacy of others were less concerned with privacy and shared more memes compared to controls, including those that portrayed people negatively. This finding was replicated across 2 experiments as well as a qualitative follow-up. Moreover, we were able to establish a number of more intuitive findings or findings established within the literature, and that further validated the quality of our data and results. So what are we to make of these counterintuitive findings? There are a number of potential interpretations. It's possible that reflecting on standards of privacy may remind users of the sharing norms that they experience and themselves practice online, leading to more permissive sharing. That is, privacy prompts may elicit a context effect where social media context allows for open sharing of other people's photos. For example, after being asked to consider the privacy of the person in the photo, the user may think to themselves that they see lots of photos posted like it online, and that the photo must certainly not be private based on sharing norms that they experience. In determining that the photo is not private and that similar photos like it are widely shared, they may think to themselves, why not share the photo? Of course, we've confirmed a lot of this process within our studies, but we must infer to some degree some of the other thought processes involved. Also relevant to our results is previous research revealing that people are more willing to take risks and judge risks as less severe when they personally feel in control. So people feel safer with driving versus flying, presumably because they're more in control of the car, even though driving is more dangerous overall. The feeling of controlling the car may obscure the risks that the individual is not in control of. In terms of our findings, adopting a privacy perspective may have increased the sense of control participants felt they had over other people's privacy. And this may have increased perception of control and lessened concerns about violating the privacy of others. In summary, we can conclude that prompts to consider the privacy of others may backfire by leading to more permissive online sharing activity. Our findings indicate that targeting change at the level of the individual is a multifaceted problem that requires consideration of context effects and other background variables. Thus, extensive testing is needed before deploying interventions to promote online privacy, as these interventions do backfire. But importantly, our research does demonstrate that online sharing decisions can be modified via simple behavioral interventions, such that interventions at the level of the user warrant further research.